Temperature regulation in invertebrates. Many invertebrates have relatively low metabolic rates and have no thermoregulatory mechanisms. Thus, they passively conform to the temperature of their external environment. These invertebrates are termed thermoconforming. Many arthropods have unique mechanisms for surviving temperature extremes. Many arthropods have unique mechanisms for surviving temperature extremes. For example, temperate zone insects avoid freezing by reducing the water content in their tissues as winter approaches. Other insects can produce glycerol or other glycoproteins that act as an antifreeze. To prevent overheating, many ground-dwelling arthropods, that is, locusts, scorpions, raise their body as high off the ground as possible to minimize heat gain from the ground. Some caterpillars and locusts orient with reference to both the sun and wind to vary both radiation, heat gain, and convective heat loss. Body posture and orientation of the wings to the sun can markedly affect the body temperature of basking insects. For example, dragonflies and butterflies can regulate their radiation heat gain by postural adjustment. Heat gain in an insect postures a dragonfly adopts to either maximize or minimize heat. Some desert-dwelling beetles can exude waxes from thousands of tiny pores on their cuticle. These wax blooms prevent dehydration and also are an extra barrier against the desert sun. Temperature regulation in fishes. Fishes cannot maintain their body temperature, so the temperature of the surrounding water determines the body temperature of most fishes. Fishes that live in extremely cold water have antifreeze material in their blood. Polyalcohols or water-soluble peptides and glycopeptides lower the freezing point of blood plasma and other body fluids. These fishes also have proteins or protein sugar compounds that stunt the growth of ice crystals that begin to form. These adaptations enable these fishes to stay flexible and swim freely in a supercooled state, that is, at a temperature below the normal freezing temperature of a cylinder. Some active fishes maintain a core temperature significantly above the temperature of the water. Bluefin tuna and the great white shark have major blood vessels just under the skin. Branches deliver blood to the deeper, powerful red swimming muscles, where smaller vessels are arranged in a counter-current heat exchanger called the rete mirabile. The heat that these red muscles generate is not lost because it is transferred in the rete mirabile from venous blood passing outward to cold arterial blood passing inward from the body surface. This arrangement of blood vessels enhances vigorous activity by keeping the swimming muscles several degrees warmer than the tissue near the surface of the fish. This is bluefin thermoregulation in large active fishes. In the bluefin tuna, the retromirabile arteries and veins acts as a counter-current exchange system that helps reduce the loss of temperature regulation in amphibians and reptiles. Animals such as amphibians and reptiles that have air rather than water as a surrounding material face marked daily and seasonal temperature changes. Most of these animals are ectotherms. They derive heat from their environment and their body temperature vary with external temperature. Most amphibians have difficulty in controlling body heat because they produce little of it metabolically and rapidly lose most of it from their body surfaces. However, behavioral adaptations enable them to maintain their body temperature within a homeostatic range most of the time. Amphibians have an additional thermoregulatory problem because they must exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide across their skin surface, and this moisture layer acts as a natural evaporative cooling system. This problem of heat loss through evaporation limits the habitats and activities of amphibians to warm, moist, moist areas. Some amphibians, such as bullfrogs, can vary the amount of mucus they secrete from their body surface, a physiological response that helps regulate evaporation. Reptiles have dry rather than moist skin, which reduces the loss of body heat through evaporative cooling of the skin. They also have an expandable rib cage which allows for more powerful and efficient ventilation. Reptiles are almost completely ectothermic. They have a low metabolic rate and warm themselves by behavioral adaptations. In addition, some of the more sophisticated regulatory mechanisms found in mammals are first found in reptiles. For example, diving reptiles, that is, sea turtles, sea snakes, conserve body heat by routing blood through circulatory shunts into the center of the body. In addition, tortoises and land turtles can cool themselves through salivating and frothing at the mouth, urinating on the back legs, moistening the eyes, and panting. Temperature regulation in birds and mammals. Birds and mammals are the most active and behaviorally complex vertebrates. They can live in habitats all over the earth because they are homeothermic endotherms. They can maintain body temperature between 35 and 42 degrees Celsius with heat. Various cooling mechanisms prevent excessive warming in birds. Because they have no sweat gland, birds pant to lose heat through evaporative cooling. Some species have a highly vascularized pouch, gular pouch, in their throat that they can flutter, a process called gular flutter, to increase evaporation from the respiratory. Some birds possess mechanism for preventing heat loss. Feathers are excellent insulators for the body, especially down-type feathers that trap a layer of air next to the body to reduce heat loss from the skin. Aquatic species who lose heat from their legs and feet have peripheral countercurrent heat exchange vessels called vertebrae in their legs to loss. Mammals that live in cold regions such as the Arctic forests and barren ground carry both also have these exchange vessels in their extremities, for example, legs, tails, ears, and nose. Animals in hot climates such as jackrabbits have mechanism, for example, large ears to rid the body of axes. Thick pellets and a thick layer of insulating fat called blubber just under the skin help marine animals such as seals and whales to maintain a body temperature of around 36 to 38 degrees Celsius. In the talon flippers, which have no blubber, a counter current system of arteries and veins helps minimize. Birds and mammals also use behavioral mechanisms to cope with external temperature changes. Like ectotherms, they sun themselves or seek shade as the temperature fluctuates. Many animals huddle to keep warm, others share burrows for protection from temperature extremes. Migration to warm climates and hibernation enable many different birds and mammals to survive the harsh months. Heat production in birds and mammals. In endotherms, heat generation can warm the body as it dissipates throughout tissues and organs. Birds and mammals can generate heat by muscle contraction, ATPase pump enzyme, oxidation of fatty acid and brown fat, and other metabolic processes. Every time a muscle cell contracts, the actin and myosin filaments sliding over each other in the hydrolysis of ATP molecules generate heat. Both voluntary muscular work, for example, running, flying, jumping, and involuntary muscular work, for example, shivering, generate heat. Heat generation by shivering is called shivering thermogenesis. Birds and mammals have a unique capacity to generate heat ATPase pump enzyme in the plasma membrane of most cells. When the body cools, the thyroid gland releases the hormone thyroxine. Thyroxine increases the permeability of many cells to sodium ions which leak into the cells. The ATPase pump quickly pumps these ions out. In the process, ATP is hydrolyzed, releasing heat energy. The hormonal triggering of heat production is called no shivering thermogenesis. Brown fat is a specialized type of fat found in mammals that live in cold climates and in mammals that hibernate. The brown color of this fat comes from the large number of mitochondria with their iron containing cytochromes. Deposits of brown fat are beneath the ribs and in the shoulders. A large amount of heat is produced when brown fat cells oxidize fatty acids. Blood flowing past brown fat is heated and contributes to warming the body. During the winter, very endotherms, for example, bears, woodchucks, chipmunks, ground squirrels, go into hibernation. During hibernation, the metabolic rate slows, as do the heart and breathing rates. Mammals prepare for hibernation by building up fat reserves and growing long winter pelts. All hibernating animals have brown fat. Decreasing day length stimulate both increased fat deposition and fur growth. Another physiological state characterized by slow metabolism and inactivity is estivation, which allows certain mammals to survive long periods of elevated temperature and diminished water supplies. Such animals, such as badgers, bears, opossum, raccoons, and skunk, enter a state of prolonged sleep in the winter. Since their body temperature remains near normal, this is not true.